What's going on, guys? My name is Joe Graves, and this is Mastering Business Growth. Running a business can either be amazing or an absolute nightmare. So on this show, I speak with people who are killing it in business, and I find out what it really takes to succeed. If you think you'd be a good guest, then drop me an email at joe@innersound.media. Enjoy the episode. So, mate, this is a different conversation to what we usually have. You're on my show. It's called Mastering Business Growth. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I'm trying to master business growth. And I do that by speaking to people who are actually out in the field, not trying to sell their thing that supposedly makes you money, but I'm just having real conversations with people. So please, let's start with who you are and what you do.
Thanks for having us on, mate. It's a pleasure. I spend a bit of time in here.
Yeah.
So it's actually nice.
Just shot a podcast yourself.
Just shot a podcast. So
yeah.
It's nice coming on the other side.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dan Newton. I head up the business development for Garth, Chartered Building Surveyors, based here in York. And I've been involved with business development for 23 years. So yeah.
How's that possible when you're only 28?
I was it's all I love, mate. These greys. These greys now. I'm embracing them.
There's a couple of signs now that it's not the case.
38 now. 38. So yeah, long time.
Yeah.
Involved in it, yeah. All the way back, 18, 17, yeah. Literally from school. Involved in business development, sales, customer service. So long time, mate.
Unbelievable. So again, walk me through the steps from first starting. What did you do then, bringing you all the way up to what you do now?
Yeah, so it all started from school, really. It was just trying to work out what I wanted to do. And, I was always kind of like, I want to be a footballer, I want to be a golfer. I played golf at a very good level at a very early age. But I wasn't kind of, in the academic world as such. I had no kind of intentions of going to college, not going to university. I was just kind of finding my way. But everything was around people. I just really, really enjoyed being around people. So I literally left school at 15 and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And I just wanted to help. And that was just go get a job. So yeah, literally bounced around a little bit, doing jobs in shops, retail, and then got a job in McDonald's. I'm very proud of that. I'm very, very proud of that. And the only reason is, it's like, people say it's a dead-end job. It's like, that's what kick-started me being sat in this room with you doing a podcast.
Do tell me how.
Because what McDonald's gave me was the exposure to customer service, dealing with money, dealing with people, making sure people are happy, dealing with complaints. I'm 17 years old here, and just doing such an intense job in such an intense environment and loving it and absolutely thriving off it. So yeah, I'm 17, 18, still no career aspirations whatsoever, apart from just earning money and enjoy working with people. So yeah, from there, kicked on a little bit, more retail work, shops. It was always shop counter. And then at 20 years old, 19, 20, I ended up working in my first role within the construction industry, which is at a builder's merchant, where I worked on the counter. And that exposed me to world of construction. So instead of selling burgers and chips, I'm now selling timber, cement, plasterboard.
Were you ever on site at any point?
Never. Just all customer related.
Yeah, me and Sam used to be.
What, in the merchant world?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, like I say, it was... it was years and years ago. My dad's old company, Graves Construction, and then it ended up being J-Mark Construction, and that's what it was. As soon as we were out of school, it was like, right, go get a job. It's like, no! Right, you coming to work with me then? No! And it was the pain of doing something I truly didn't enjoy that forced me to figure out how to monetize what I do enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please, go on from there.
No, so actually no J-Mark Construction. Yeah, because obviously working in builders merchants, they were, well-known company.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was my first kind of introduction to other construction, 20 years old. And then from there, I was just extremely driven by growth. Something changed for me, which was about, personal development. How much can I grow? How much can I change? And it was about kind of then looking for further opportunity. So within, about maybe 5 or 6 years of working in that environment behind a counter, there was an opportunity to level up into an assistant manager's role. And me being me, thought, just going to go for it. I'm very much a yes man, which is just say yes to everything, and opportunity creates itself. So yeah, the job came up to be an assistant manager, weren't ready for it at all, applied for it, got it. And my journey just kind of then went on from there, from being an assistant manager into being an on-road rep for Travis Perkins at the time, then being on an on-road rep for Kingspan, then being on the road rep for a company like Langley that I was at. And then eventually what just started happening is being on the road exposed me to more and more people, created more opportunity. It was just like this snowball effect. And, sometimes people are like, you can't keep changing job. And I'm like, I can, because the more I'm changing, the more I'm learning. And yeah, eventually, after doing this for 15, 20 years, meeting some extraordinary people, absolutely loving the world of construction, I found myself working for a chartered building surveyor as the head of business development for them. So yeah, loving it.
That's brilliant. Do you know what I'm curious about? Because you find this common thread with most people who either run businesses or are high up in businesses and directly affect the success of them. Like you said, you had a sort of calling for personal development. What do you think that's all about? Because I have it too. Like I say, most people who run businesses do. What's the deal with that? Do you think there's like a higher calling, or is it? I mean, my thoughts are simply that there's two ways to live your life. You can coast through, or you can strive for more. What made you think, right, I need to be doing more?
Yeah. It's a weird one for me. I have this real fear of not fulfilling my potential. It's crazy. And, some people, like, my wife Naomi, she'll be like, just be normal. And I'm absolutely not normal. I'm very much driven by this, what else can I achieve? We're only here for 80 years, and there's just this fear of not fulfilling what I'm, is possible. So whether that's through doing more things or experiencing more things in life, I'm just like, I have this real fear that I'm missing out. So for me, it's about just experiencing new things. And I mentioned just then about talking about being a yes man. There's a great film with Jim Carrey. I don't know if you've ever seen it, called Yes Man. It's absolutely brilliant. And he goes from saying no to everything to saying yes, and how his life changes completely, because every time he says yes, it creates a new opportunity. And, there's no, but every time he's saying yes, there's a new reaction to something, which means he meets a new girl in the program, and then he gets a promotion at his job. And the idea is just saying yes to everything, to experiencing life. So it really affects me. I don't want to get to 50 and 60 and have regret. And I don't know where this has come from, and I don't know if it's inside children or, whether I got a bit older in life, but I just feel like I see grey hairs coming through on my beard. I see grey coming through on my hair, and it worries me that I'm thinking I'm getting older and I'm not experiencing things, or, I'm not achieving up here. So for me, that's what just keeps me driven every day, to just keep pushing. And yeah, I am a complete yes man, and sometimes people will knock it back and they say you do too much, but I'm just enjoying the experience, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. And do you know what? So it's something I like to talk about on this show is the two parts of business, which is doing the work, and then there's getting the work. Normally I start with getting the work because, chronologically, that's how it is. But I would like to talk a little bit more about what you do at Charles Garth, and maybe you specifically, what your role is and what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, so it's all on... initially, it was lead generation, new business, bringing, obviously new business into the company. But what we soon found out is that there's lots of parts in the business that needs my support. So that's internal marketing, helping with processes and systems, helping with the team, stay motivated, helping them with courses, and generally just helping the business grow. A lot of surveying practices, they're built around building surveyors. So their role has been just building surveying, and the company kind of grows around them. My job is purposely to help grow the business from outside of that. So I don't focus on the surveying side of it. I don't get involved with any of that. It's purely on how to help business grow. So first thing I did coming in to Charles Garth was lead generation. That had to be the thing, because without the money coming in, everything else is not sustainable. So it was, how do I go about generating new leads? And that can be through the norm. That can be attending networking events. That can be, picking up the phone, doing cold calling. I hate cold calling, by the way. Definitely don't agree with it. And those that say, oh, it's brilliant, you're just not very good at it, it's rubbish. Like, cold calling is just something that just doesn't need to be done because there's too many other great options out there. And, and it makes you feel like crap, to be honest. Who wants to pick the phone up 50 times and say, do you want to meet? So I'm not about that anymore. And so I look for strategic ways to generate new growth. And obviously, one of them was through podcasting.
Well, this is what I thought would be the sort of key focus of this, because I have a podcast production company, Innersound. You're a client of ours. And the way we kind of preach it is, look, it's a business development tool and, it helps with your video content marketing as well. So I would like to talk about, or I'd like you to talk about and tell us how you've gone from previous practices, what kind of results you were getting, to what you're doing now and what kind of results you're getting. So please walk us through what you're doing and why.
Yeah. So I've been what you'd call a traditional business development salesperson for a long time, 20 years, to be perfectly honest. My switch came probably around a year ago when I was starting to realise the power of social media and what it can do. And I needed to pick a platform. And I've always been on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's kind of been the space where I enjoy. It's where I get most value. It's where I can share most value as well. And so I decided to really double down on that and say, right, this is where we're going to put a lot of effort. So I started to build a bit of a online following, build a bit of a personal brand. So I was realising that just by doing this, that people would say to me, oh, you're the guy who's on LinkedIn, you're the guy who's on LinkedIn. And that was great, but it wasn't generating me anything apart from just a bit more exposure. I was still doing the normal coffees. I was still doing the cold calling, the door knocking, what you call traditional business development. And I sat back one day and I'm thinking, this is like, it's tough. It's tough. There's a lot of people doing it and I need to stand out. Like, there has to be a better way. So I started to look through all the methods, and then I was looking at potentially doing like vlogging. And then I was even looking at doing blogging, obviously, vlogging, video logs and actually blogging. And I started a newsletter. I think I wrote one, and I ain't got the patience for this. I needed something that was sustainable as well. So I started to upload video content thinking, well, I'll tell you what I can do. If I can get my face seen more, that'll build trust. Now, this method actually, by the way, that we're talking about, it takes time. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort. And sometimes people just can't even be bothered. They think, I can't, I just don't have the energy to go down that route.
And because they believe that there is a quick way.
Yeah.
There is not a quick way. There is luck, or there is doing the groundwork.
Yeah, there absolutely is. So I was realising I was putting all this effort in anyway here. Why don't I just, put my ego aside for a minute and start putting my face on camera and being a bit more out there? What's the worst that can happen? And obviously being a yes man, I thought, let's just jump in. So off we went, doing more posts. Posts were coming on daily. Videos were starting to come on daily. And then I was like, I need to go harder. What else can we do? And then I'm like, I need to build a podcast. And do you know what? There's a story on this. There's a guy called Phil Chell. He was my old boss. He was a fantastic boss at Langley. And I used to go to him all the time. I want to build a podcast. And this was while I was at Langley. So this was, years ago. I want to build a podcast. And he'd always say to me, here's the idea and here's the money. And how can you put them together? But my brain was never on the financial side of it. It was always just on the exposure. I thought, well, if you get the exposure, the money will eventually come. I can't promise you, the money, but what I can promise you is the exposure. And it was right for it. It actually totally made sense. But the more I've now got involved with this, the more I'm kind of seeing it's maybe wrong. What I've done is just create huge exposure. And money just seems to just follow in. So I'll take you back a little bit. So I was then looking for a podcast company. I was like, right, I want to create a podcast. I'm just going to go all out. I don't even know what it's going to look like. And I started to do one online, Constructing Excellence podcast, which has been great. And I just thought it's another great way of just, putting my face out there. So yeah, created the Constructing Excellence one, but still not enough. I was like, I need to go more. I want a live, full-blown Stephen Bartlett, Dive of a CEO podcast. And while I'm doing all this, bearing in mind I've got a job. That's what people forget. Like, I have a job as well, which is to generate new business. But I kept thinking to myself, like, there's a reason I'm doing this. I don't know what it is. There's a reason that I'm putting so much effort into wanting to do this. And yeah, we met. And from there, I'm like, I have to make this work. So I came in to you. I'm like, right, got these ideas. We had a few conversations, and we just jumped in with 2 feet and created what we now know is behind the chalkboard.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we helped, I suppose since meeting you, we've had a lot going on behind the scenes, like developing the concept of how podcasts actually serve as a business development tool. Because like you said, at first you think, well, it's got to be a unique idea. It's got to be, super cool. It's got to go viral to create exposure and then monetize. It's a numbers game from there. That is not how it works at all, is it?
No.
In fact, in the B2B space, there is incredible value or incredible results from low volume, high value. For example, you could shoot a podcast, 3 of the right people watch it, and you could sign 50K's worth of projects off that, because it's about meeting people. You start with outreach becomes effective when you have an irresistible offer. Most business owners or business development managers are more than happy to come and talk on a podcast, particularly if they know they get to talk about themselves, what they're doing. It's shot in super high quality. And then from that point, they'll come on, you've got the start of a genuine relationship. So please tell me a bit more about, this is obviously something you know.
Yep.
How did you take that information and turn it into something that's working for you? And is it working?
Yeah. One thing I will say about all of this is, like, I knew nothing about any of this. All this is just done off, let's just give it a go and see where it takes us. There was no strategy, there was no plan, didn't build a business plan, didn't sit down and overthink it. I just thought, how cool would it be? That is genuinely it. How cool would it be? And let's just go make it happen. And now it has changed everything for how I want to business development. So if you look at networking as such, I used to have this like massive FOMO of networking. Go to an event, there'd be 1,000 people in the room. I've got to be at them events. And now the way that podcasting's made me think, I actually now really pick and choose where I spend a lot of my time. So yes, what's happened is I can have a podcast. I can sit for an hour with a perfect candidate to talk to them and get them to tell me their story. That is the most powerful meeting that you could ever have.
Have you found people are really happy to come do that?
Yes, unbelievably.
You're accessing people that you never would have been able to before.
100%. And they're traveling miles, 2 hours to come see me. I had to have to go see them for 2 hours, then buy them a coffee. And now they're buying me a coffee because I'm bringing them on my podcast. And it feels like a cheat code. I know we use this word. Yeah. It feels like, how have we got clients coming on, driving to see me and buying me coffees to sit on my podcast? And that is like, wow. And I said like the other week, I'm like, what have we created here? And it's not like we've created anything. We've just thought a little bit differently. And now I have these 2 options. If I want to see somebody, I'll tell you what, I'll see you at that networking event where there's 1,000 people. I can come to my podcast studio. You can come sit in. You can talk about yourself for 2 hours, and we'll promote the hell out of your business for the next year. Like it's an absolute no-brainer. And literally in the first 6 episodes, we've recouped the money that we spent to build a podcast, and I've still got 50 episodes left to do, which are now for free.
So what's that in terms of ROI? So you're shooting 4 podcasts a month.
Yep.
Am I right in saying it was your very first guest?
Yeah, second guest. First guest, I think. Yeah.
Right. So what you spend in a year here, you've recouped. Doubled.
Yeah.
Close to doubled. Is that right? Immediately.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So now I've just got all these.
What were you doing before? And like, how was that? What are people in your company saying about this?
Yeah, so a lot of it, even still, trying to convince people, like what people think a business development manager does is go out there, works hard, speaks to people all day, comes back and brings leads, right? But what you don't see is how that's done. Because what's happening is they just want, they're paying X for a return of Y. They're not really asked about the fluff that goes on with it. So when people I've been to see them. And that's what they want. If I turn around and say, I'm doing podcasting, people are like, oh my God, he's wasting money, wasting time. What they're not realising is that my results are actually 10 times better than what they would be doing anything else. Let's be real. Look, how many building surveying practices is there? I've mentioned this before. Thousands, absolutely thousands. What makes me different to any of them? Absolutely nothing. Do my team survey the wall the same as the other 1,000? They all survey the wall exactly the same. So what you'll do is get a company saying, "Oh, we service better. We do." It's absolutely nothing to do with that. What I've realised about everything, and I've, over the last few years actually, it's your network. Your network is absolutely everything. And from these meetings or these podcasts, I'm able to then get referrals for them to bring more people on. And I'm even getting CEOs of multi-academy trusts. Like, these people are like ghosts. You just don't see them, especially for my type of role. At the end of the day, if you look at what my core offering is, it's building surveying. I'm another salesman in a massive group. You don't sit down with CEOs of multi-academy trusts. They don't have time for you. And, that's no disrespect to them, but they just don't. They've got bigger fish to fry. But being able to sit in a room with them because I put something like this on, it's just, it seems crazy that it's an even thing that we can do. And yeah, we're absolutely killing it. And now we've got CEOs emailing me saying, "Can I come on your podcast?" I'm like, wow. So now, we're absolutely loving it. And it's changed everything. It's opened my eyes to the possibilities. And that goes with anything to do with social media. It's like this video today. This is what you'd call one impression. Me and you having one chat with one drink is one impression. As soon as it goes on social media, it's going to get 50,000 impressions.
Well, that's it. It continues from that point. It's like I say, podcasting is not a gimmick. It's the fundamentals controlled and harnessed.
Yeah.
So you get in your networking, very direct, targeted networking, outreach, incredibly effective outreach.
Yeah.
Then you're having the meetings, you're building genuine relationships, which you can use to extrapolate direct business or referral opportunities. Because again, same deal. You might get 10 people through here. Maybe only one of them wants to hire you. But every single one of them, you keep that relationship going.
Yeah.
And you say, "I appreciate, it's maybe not at the right time, or maybe this, that. I would love it if you could introduce me to 2 more people." And you can do the same, run the same thing again, get them on your podcast. And you do that with, like you say, around 50 people a year. Each one of them gives you 2 more leads. After 1 year, that is 150 incredibly good contacts.
Yeah.
Is there any chance in hell, as a business development manager, you can't utilise that to win business? Yeah. Is there anything better?
Nothing. And I think it's important as well, just absolutely nothing. I think it's really important to say, one, it's not easy. It's all right.
Correct. It's simple, but not easy.
Not easy at all. It's all right, me and you coming on here and doing this. Like this, being in this environment, it raises anxiety, raises stress. There's these things that people just don't, want to go through or want to avoid. It does create not an unsafe space, but, I guess anxiety is the word. And the fact is that I've put myself on camera a lot and I've done a lot of social media that I can sit through this. So I understand why people don't do it. But the reward, if you can jump through that, the rewards are massive. I mean, look, and
it gets fun. I really enjoy these conversations.
It does get fun. Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, and now I've done this and stepped through, like even for me coming into this room, it's amazing, but it does create a bit of anxiety. But I've learned over years to jump through them because on the other side is where the joy and the happiness is. Now I've done this with you. We're building Behind the Chalkboard podcast, and I'm already thinking about what's next. I'm like, oh my word, like what else can we do? And because it creates new possibilities. But if we just typically look at a marketing strategy really quickly, let's look at, email campaigns is a great example. So email campaigns get done all the time. We can do an email campaign to go out, or we can do a podcast like this. With the email campaign, we don't know who we're hitting. We're throwing money in to hopefully something sticks. It's that type of thing. Now, most of the time, the reason it's done is because your outlay will most likely be returned. So £10,000 outlay, you only need maybe 2 leads to get the whole thing, but you're going out to 60, 70,000 people, so your return is really poor. The other side of it is you do something like this, where you maybe double or triple the investment, but your return is 100-fold. And if there's nothing from it you have a relationship for life. And that's where people can't, they can't seem to grasp. And this has changed everything for me. I ain't going to lie. Going forward, I think social media as a whole has changed everything for me. The opportunities it's created. And it's really exciting to see what's going to come from this next. And I absolutely love it. I do go home sometimes and think, what am I doing? Like, what is the point in this? Why am I putting myself on camera? Can I be bothered? Why don't I just be a normal, salesperson?
Well, that's it, mate. I've been, obviously, we produce podcasts. I've been selling that to people and not doing it myself. And eventually I thought, do you know what? I need to start my own because, one, it's quite hypocritical. And two, I want more business in. So I started doing it myself. We started shooting less than a month ago. What's happened since is unbelievable in terms of contacts, referrals, packages being bought, all sorts. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's changed everything.
Yeah, it has. It absolutely has. It's set a bar for me. And that's a problem in a way because there's no going back. Traditional knocking doors doing coffees feels like I couldn't do that again. I will. Of course I will. I don't want to come on here and sound like I'm being a dick, but that method seems wasted. The amount of travelling I did is absolutely outrageous. 70,000 miles on car every year. People get a buzz from that. I've done 100,000 miles this year. And I'm thinking, you lunatic. Like, why? It's absolutely crazy. And I feel like, because of this, I've evolved and I've grown and it's taken some backing as well. I ain't just come in and gone do this. I've got people that have believed in it. And, big shout out to Lee and Charles Garth for going, you know what, we're going to invest in this. And they've been absolutely super supportive. And already they're seeing the rewards from it. But it's set a bar. And the problem is if that bar's been set, what's next? So it's really interesting. It really is interesting. And I think for me now, it's about what else can I do with it? And my mind just goes absolutely crazy on a night time. Like, honestly, I just lay in bed with a million ideas. But what this, we're talking about podcasting because it's, this is all what it's about. But what you,
because we both do business development. I obviously source the, where the money's coming from for my own company, Innersound, and you do the same thing. And it's exciting that we're both using this successfully.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. And really looking forward to where it's going to lead, to be honest.
Absolutely. So obviously, not to mention podcasts are fundamentally, it's content. It's video marketing content.
Yeah.
Have you seen what a difference it's made, let's say, versus regular posts versus what you're doing now? So obviously you can post the podcast entirely, the clips from it alone. So I find immediately when I start making clips and posting them online, you're tagging your guest and then they like it, they comment it, they share it, and you're opening up your face, who you are. Because like I heard recently, it's like body language is like 70% of communication. So people are getting to see you and get a vibe of who you actually are, what you sound like. And that matters when you are dealing with, transactions that are in the thousands, tens of thousands. People need to know that. And it's not practical for everyone to just meet you and immediately be like, oh, well, there's that guy. I guess we'll hire them. If people are generally on the lookout for people like yourself, building surveyors, they need to know you. If they know you, who are they going to think of when it's time to buy something? Yeah. And you're leveraging your guest's audience. Have you found any clear, measurable results from that yet? Yeah. I know you were talking about impressions on videos a while ago.
Yeah, 100%. So I moved to video back in May, I think it was this year. I made the decision. Again, it was this, how can I stand out? How can I do more? And I thought, video. So I did a video. It was like a minute and a half video. And I said, right, everyone, I'm going on video. I'm like, who's even listening to this? But anyway, I thought...
No, because at first no one does.
No one does.
And it's off-putting as hell.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Honestly, anyone that wants to do video, it's horrendous. Again, I'll talk about anxiety, but you sit there and just record yourself and talk. And you're like, who am I talking to? It's one of the hardest things that I've had to do. And even now, I'll shoot the clip and I'll be like, oh, that's rubbish, delete it, and I'll redo it again. My impressions went through the roof from going to video because people were starting to see me, they were starting to trust me and get to know who I am through video content. So it was a trade-off. It was, am I going to be okay with having a bit of anxiety and a bit of stress, but to trade off to be seen 100 times more? So to give you an example, I did a video not long ago and it had over It was over, God, what was it? 1,000 minutes. So we're talking, what's that? 10, 11, 12, 14, 15 hours of view time of me.
How long was the video?
45 seconds.
So rewatching, new people, it's a combination. It's somewhere in the middle. Whether that is, 1,000 people watching it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. Or it's 100 people watching it 10 times. They're both great.
Yeah. And one thing I've come to realise is about when people try to get feedback from clicks and on likes. If they get more likes, they get more views. When McDonald's does an advert at 11:30 on the morning, it comes on, everyone's like, bam, dinner time. Everyone don't go on the radio, do they, and press like? No, because McDonald's not bothered how many likes they get. They're bothered how many times it's listened to. Because the more people listen, that means they've got into the head. So what people are forgetting is, yes, my 45-second video, even though it might have only got 10 likes, it got a lot more likes, but even if it got 10, it's you're missing the point. It's about being remembered for that day. So when you come around the second day, you'll see me again. And this is it. Not everyone's ready to buy. It's just about being seen. And you're very good at it, when you put your content on about podcast. It's not about looking for someone to buy a podcast that day. There's people thinking now, I want to do a podcast, but they don't know who to ask. So about you putting a video on, they think of you. I'm exactly the same. By me putting a video on of my little boy and me painting the kitchen, which we did long ago, I think, it's Dan again. What's he do, by the way? I'll click on his profile, look at what he does. Building surveying. And that's what I think I've mastered is I forget now about the likes, I just post. And that's why followers for me is really important. People are like, you don't want followers. It's very egotistical. Is that the word? Yeah. But it's not. For me, the more followers I have, the more exposure I can have. And the more exposure I have means I can be seen more. The more I'm seen, the more we can get back. So yeah, I've really, really embraced social media. LinkedIn is absolutely where it's happening for me at the moment, because of the content that I do, So there's a thing about how, getting loads of likes, loads of views, people anticipate, they think they need it, but you don't really need that in the B2B space. We did touch on this earlier, but there's something about, you don't need all these views. It doesn't strictly correlate to revenue. I've seen people, we've done it ourselves back when we were doing music. We posted a meme once. It was just a meme. We didn't even make it. This was on Facebook and it had millions of impressions, literally millions. It went absolutely viral. Nothing off the back of it. Good exposure, but it did nothing. There was no clear way to connect the dots. Yeah. Again, in this instance, it would be good to just, as we kind of come to an end of this, connect the dots, how you do turn this into revenue, whether you're getting loads of likes, impressions or not. Again, the fundamental thing is you are building real connections with people and you are getting endorsed by your guests. I had the same thing this morning. I posted a clip from one of my recent podcasts and I got, which is pretty standard for me, good handful of likes and comments, around sort of 20. That's fine. That's great. That's good for me. I'm relatively new to LinkedIn. But then my guest posted the same thing yesterday. It's gone absolutely ballistic. Yeah. And I woke up to ads this morning. I showed you one earlier. CEO of a company that has over 50 employees, which for little old me, that does not happen. Yeah. That does not happen. On what planet are these people adding me? It doesn't happen. So if you can, please just connect some dots. Yeah. How your current practice is using the podcast as the instigator. Yeah. Because that's all it is. It's an instigator to begin real relationships where you can then either get direct business or referral. So please just walk us through simply how it works from your perspective. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll start from the beginning. Like with LinkedIn, the reason I use LinkedIn, it's never been easier to connect to a CEO and connect with them. Yeah, with no barriers in place. I can just press a connect button to a CEO of a multi-academy trust. And same for them. They can connect with me. The reason I do the videos is to be seen. That is the only reason I do it, is to be seen, to be remembered. From that, what I'm hoping is then that they see my videos of podcasting. And then hopefully in time they may want to come on a guest, or they may be interested in the type of content we're doing. But actually, when it comes to the podcasting side of things, I wouldn't care if I got no views. And this is where people think, what? No views? Because what they're missing the point is the podcast isn't to go viral. The podcast is literally to meet the person sat in front of me, to build a relationship and a connection. So people always think, who's going to want to listen to a podcast about the business world of education? Like, it's quite a dull topic. You've got to be very kind of in that, arena to really enjoy that type of topic, even though there's a following for it, but it isn't a massive following.
Well, this is the thing, and it's people shit themselves, quite frankly, when I say it's not about going viral. It's almost the second thought that you're getting content from this.
Yeah.
Even though fundamentally it is content, that's really just a bonus.
Yeah.
Which you can use to, like, say, leverage your guest audience. So yeah, please keep going.
Yeah, 100%. So by me now sitting with a CEO of a multi-academy trust, let's be real. Multi-academy trusts are big businesses, from a building surveying point of view, big businesses. Yes, there isn't a lot of money in the education sector. There never is. There's £4 million to go around 1,000 buildings. It's ridiculous. But from a building surveying, contracting, construction world, it's big business. So what you then do is you get a field of people that want a piece of that, whether it's painters, decorators, roofers, window fitters, floorers, gas engineers, building surveyors, scaffolders. Everyone wants a piece of that. Yet everyone finds it very difficult to get in because there's already somebody in place. So all I did was thought, right, how do I speak to the CEOs? I'll tell you what, I'll build a podcast. People are like, that is wild. I'm like, but now I get to sit in front of the CEO. And yes, of course, for them, the reward for them is a great opportunity to talk about them, their trust, what they're up to, the great work they're doing, and put them on camera. I give them back more than any other sales rep's going to ever give them, which is...
Yeah, people just go with hands out, don't they?
Hands out, walk into the room, what have you got for me?
Yeah.
Yeah? And these guys are like, nothing. I've got absolutely nothing for you. I'm already using them. By me coming on here, I genuinely would love to help them by talking about their trust, talking about the work they're doing, promote their promote their trust, put them some shorts on YouTube, get them on YouTube, give them the spotlight, which is what it was built for. And that's why it was built. That then builds a connection between them and me. Off the back of it, I get opportunities to work with them on the surveying part of the work. So all I've done is taken the method that's already been going around for 50 years and just been a bit more creative about it. And yet I seem to be winning. And I'm looking around thinking no one else is doing this. Like, why is no one else doing it? Either I'm really stupid. This is what I do think. Either I'm really stupid or I'm really ahead. And I really do think that sometimes. Like, why is no one else doing this? But I'm okay with being the only one.
People get stuck in their own ways. And again, as a podcast production provider, a lot of people come along like, I don't really know what I'd use them for. So that's why my kind of recent campaign has been very much educating people on how it serves to generate a positive ROI, an unmatched ROI, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So that's been the hard part for me. Just, again, having conversations like this and putting them online, having them in person, making sure people understand. So no, it's not stupid at all because, whether you're delusional or not, the money's there.
It is. And it's important that these are put in as strategies, not just an add-on of, let's do something fluffy like a podcast.
Oh yeah, you're not doing outreach anymore.
No,
you're not having business calls and sales calls. Yeah. You're still doing them. This is just a tool to aid it all.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And what I need to give back is me being exposed on camera. It's my ego that I'm willing to trade for this. There always has to be a trade-off. What is it? It's me looking on camera. It's me not liking the way I sound. It's me with my hair not in the right place. They're the insecurities that people have, whereas I'm willing to kind of say, okay, I'm fine with all that.
You get over it quickly, don't you?
You do get over it you absolutely do.
Yeah.
You do, to be fair.
Well, something else I like to talk about on this show, and this is where we'll kind of bring it to a close, is whether it's running a business or being part of a business. There's so many emotional highs and lows. Can you give me an example of each and like how you've got through it? Because I think it's so important. Anyone that is in the race, whatever you want to call it, the journey of, building a business, generating revenue, how do you get through the tough times?
Yeah. So tough times come all the time. The feeling of, why am I doing this? Like, genuinely, why am I doing this? Massive anxiety. Like even still, I don't suffer with major anxiety. I don't have that panic attack type of, but I get anxiety a lot, and that's because what I realised is what I've created now needs to keep going. I can't just do it and then go, I've done it. I've now kind of committed to this.
Yeah, I feel the same thing. You do, all of a sudden it is exactly that. Like, well, I can't stop this now. And sometimes you're not in the mood to shoot a podcast, or, you have to go in to be a good host. You have to have genuine curiosity and speak with like real intent to get the best from your guest.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just not in that mood, because I'm naturally quite an introvert, but I'm genuinely really interested and obsessed, quite frankly, with how business works. And that's the only thing that gets me through these. But I do sometimes have to work to get in that zone.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. There is anxiety all of a sudden. Like, wow, this is who I am now. This is how the internet sees me. I
didn't have this before.
Yeah.
And now I have it.
You have the opportunity to retreat.
You absolutely do. And it happens a lot. It does. So for anybody that's thinking about this, it comes with it, but that's okay. And I've accepted it's there. And I've realised the more I do it, the more I feel comfortable. Like I've just had a week off, and I've now come back and I'm like, oh my days, I've got to get back into the mode of doing it again. But that's what's driving all this. That's what's making me different. What drives me is that, and this is, I work so hard in all this. It has to be for something. Like my payday or whatever, or payoff has never come. It's just, I just do it, I run 2 podcasts, I do STEM ambassador work, I do constructing excellence work, I juggle 1,000 balls because I say yes to everything. But I feel like something good's going to come off the back of it one day. I don't know what that's going to be.
Well, not just that, but you're so proud. Like, again, there was one I shot recently, and I'm excited to watch this one back already. Like when I edit it, it's when you've finished a conversation, which is all a podcast really is, you watch them back and it's like, that's great. I can't believe I've immortalized that. I've got it now. And I'm forever associated with this person who I was speaking to.
Yeah.
It's amazing. After it, it's always like, why did I not do this?
Yeah, before? 100%. So they are the negative. I do also worry that I'm on a journey that I didn't want to be on. But I'm really happy with it. But sometimes I'm going down a path right now that's growing legs. And I'm like, is this what I ever wanted? I'm building this thing. I'm getting on podcasts. I'm getting a following. I'm like, I didn't really, I didn't ask for this, but I'm just following it and I'm okay with that to see where it takes me. So yeah, but the positives of it is I love it. Like I can't say it any more than that. You have to enjoy it. Like I absolutely love it. I love business. I love the way it works. I love creating. I'm an extreme, when it comes to the type of person that I am, I'm a huge creative, terrible with doing, mundane tasks like paperwork, but creative enormous. So yeah, I absolutely love the process, and that's why I guess it's easy at the same time.
Well, that's brilliant. Well, I'll tell you what, mate, we'll call it there. I think that's been, again, I've loved it because I've got to talk about what I do.
Absolutely.
But I'm so glad to have, again, captured one of my clients talking about how this works and that it's no snake oil, quite frankly.
No, it's not.
No, absolutely. And I love it. So again, thank you so much for this, mate.
No problem. Thank you, mate.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. Again, if you think you'd be a good guest on the show, then please drop me an email at joe@innersound.media. See you in the next episode.